Uh-oh, Randy. Where's Randy, guys? Look up. Is he up there? You up there blowing a squirrel, Randy? Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
That squirrel identifies as a chipmunk.
We are facing the biggest crisis of our lifetimes.
Hi everyone, good morning. What a great day for Canada.
Hey gang, what's up? Aaron right here, Canadian Looney. We're going to look at the top 10 reasons Mark Carney is going to have a disastrous time starting Monday when Parliament resumes. These are the top 10 Conservative politicians that are going to be ripping Mark Carnage apart. These Liberals don't stand a chance. Let's take a look. We're going to kick it off here with Larry Brock. He's the Shadow Minister of Justice. He's the Shadow Attorney General. Larry Brock is one sharp guy. Let's take a peek.
There was no emergency that endangered the lives of Canadians or threatened the sovereignty of Canada. This was political overreach. This was a political emergency, not national.
We all know the Prime Minister, right from the get-go, was demonizing and dividing the country and radicalizing these individuals, calling them all kinds of nasty names. And again, conduct, in my view, unbecoming of a Prime Minister of a G7 country.
Let me be very clear. My principal concern when it comes to the illegal occupation and the illegal blockades is the economic harm that
Let
was
me
done
be
to
very
Canada.
clear, Minister Freeland. Your words several times in the House referred to terrorism funding and money laundering. Are you saying you didn't use those words?
I am speaking here today, and I am talking about the central motivation of our very serious
And
actions.
I'm here to ask you questions, and I expect, unlike question period, I expect a response.
Oh, yeah.
It looks here, guys, like our boy Jagmeet Singh is going to be the Shadow Finance Minister. He's a sharp one too, man. He's fun to watch. Let's take a peek. Jagmeet is funny.
The honourable member from Calgary Forest Lawn.
Mr. plans on quadrupling the tax on gas, groceries, and home heating. He gave 3% of Canadians a pause on the carbon tax for home heating, where his poll numbers were tanking and his MPs were revolting. The Liberal Rural Affairs Minister said if people on the prairies want to pause on the tax, they should elect more Liberals. Well, the MP of Calgary Skyview is a Liberal, but his constituents don't get the pause. Will the Prime Minister let that member mail in a free vote on our common sense Conservative motion to take the tax off and keep the heat on, and shove this carbon tax where the Prime Minister's poll numbers are, in the gutter?
Oh, yeah.
Shannon Stubbs is back. She's going to be the Shadow Minister for Energy and Natural Resources. This lady is got a very sharp tongue. Watch her go.
Common sense Conservatives got proof that the Liberals kicked and screamed to hide, but most Canadians already know. After 9 years, the NDP Liberals' carbon tax is not worth the cost. It will gouge Canada's economy for about $30 billion. That's almost $2,000 for every household each year. In Lakeland, a family farm paid nearly $500 in carbon tax in 1 month. An agricultural group paid $5,000 in just 6 months, both before the April 1st hike. So will the Environment Minister finally just admit his failed carbon tax is a cash grab and resign?
Oh, yeah.
So we have Melissa Lansman. She's back. She's the deputy leader of the Conservative Party, and she's sharp as a thumbtack.
Ms. Lansman. Madam Chair, I, like many other people, were sitting in my office wondering when this study on anti-Semitism would come forward, because it's supposed today that they were going to that this committee was going to look at the report. It's a study that I had sat in on for multiple meetings. It's a study that many Canadians came here to this committee to talk about, and since then. Since that study on anti-Semitism, we've seen gunshots into schools in this country. We've seen fire bombings into businesses. We've seen Stats Canada reports that say that 70% of the hate crimes in this country are targeted at less than 2% of the population. And right now, what people watching at home see is that...
Madame la Présidente, en quoi?
Madam Chair.
Every liberal that's in this is disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
Our wild cowgirl from Mindapore, Stephanie Cusi, is going to be the shadow minister for the Treasury Board. She also is a fun one to watch. Hey there everyone, Aaron here, Question Period Canada. We've got an exciting video to show. We met a wild one last night. Stephanie Cusi, she's an MP from Mindapore, Alberta, and she flips out about the Arrive Can Scam app. Boy oh boy, she lets the Liberals have it. Finger pointing, accusations. It's exciting. Let's take a peek. It's pretty funny too. Let's look.
Colleagues, I would appreciate it if you give your attention to the next speaker who is being recognized by the speaker, the member from Calgary, Mindapore.
Damning new information revealed today shows that Arrive Can contractors submitted receipts to the government for a company that doesn't even exist. Wow. This investigation already includes allegations of identity theft, forged resumes, contractual theft, fraudulent billing, price fixing, and collusion in the creation of the $54 million Arrive Can app. How much worse can this boondoggle get? Simple question, which Liberal insiders got rich?
Who got rich?
Did she say boondoggle? So over $50 million missing with the Arrive Can app scam. That's an issue. The Badger is back. Mike Barrett, one of our favorites here. Love this guy. Watching him, man, he cuts them up. He's the shadow minister for ethics and government accountability, and he does hold them to account. Watch Mike go.
Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Island and Rideau Lakes.
Parliament's budget watchdog has confirmed yet again that Canadians pay more in carbon tax than they get back in so-called rebates. In Ontario, for example, a family will pay $1,400 more than they get back. But they already knew that because everything costs more after 9 years of these NDP Liberals. Taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is up for their economic vandalism that they're perpetrating on Canadians. So why won't this Prime Minister just put Canadians in the place where they need to be with a carbon tax election?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, he didn't read the report. It's obvious, because on page 1 of the report, it says right here that Canadians will see a net gain, receiving more from the Canada carbon rebate than the total amount they pay in the federal fuel charge. Mr. Speaker, just flip to page 7. It's a bit long, I know. The Member of Parliament might have a bit of a difficult time with a document like this, but the meaningless slogans don't matter. What does matter is that, broadly speaking, our updated estimates show larger net gains for average households right across income quintiles in backstop provinces compared to the previous distributional analysis. If he's going to quote the book, Mr. Speaker, he ought to read it. It's right here. I can bring it over if you'd like. Page 1.
Just going to ensure that we, of course, treat all members with the respect and dignity that all members deserve. The Honourable Member from Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes.
Well, Speaker, not only did I read the report, I actually paid some attention when I dressed myself this morning, unlike that scene over there.
The Honourable Member knows that order without the comments which the Speaker has risen to his feet for.
Speaker, not only did I read the report, I was able to make it past the first page, all the way to page 19 of the PBO's report that shows the true cost of the carbon tax for Ontario families, that it's going to be $1,400 more than they're getting back in their phony rebates. And Statistics Canada today revealed the full effect of the economic vandalism. All of these high taxes and economic wealth redistribution were supposed to make Canadians better off, they claimed, but instead we've seen the largest gap between the rich and poor that's ever existed in this country. It's time for a carbon tax election. Why won't they just give us one?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I know that this is Friday, and I know that Conservatives just cannot resist every day seeking to plumb new depths of degraded nursery
playground insults. But I have some advice for the member opposite. If he wants to insult a colleague for his appearance, never a good idea. Maybe don't pick a gold medal winning Olympic athlete.
God, what a dick.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Cooper is fun to watch. He's the Shadow Minister of Government Reform. He's a cowboy, I guess. He says the most outlandish things. He's fun too.
And I'm going to go to Mr. Cooper next. Go ahead.
Be on the list, please.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Shanahan alleged that Conservatives are bringing forward frivolous ethics complaints. I would remind Ms. Shanahan, through you, Mr. Chair, of the litany of guilty findings by the Ethics Commissioner with respect to key figures in this government. We have the Prime Minister, who was found guilty of violating the Conflict of Interest Act.
This one is incredible. Michael Cooper, MP from Alberta, he slams Iqra Khalid. There's no insinuations in this video. Just Michael Cooper calling out these filthy, woke tactics being used by the Liberals in committee. It is so much fun to watch. He slams her, man. It is hysterical, and, well, it's sad that this stuff is going on, but Michael Cooper is bringing the energy in this one. Check this video out, man. Watch the whole thing. It's a short for my channel, but we'll do a longer video on this one. It's a great piece. Michael Cooper is a man on fire. You can tell he's pissed. Check this out. Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah.
Ms. Khalid, you have the floor. Then I see Mr. Cooper.
Thanks, Chair. And I just wanted to reiterate, because I don't think that my questions were answered, and perhaps if you can take note, I would really appreciate if we can find out how many meetings are there left with the amount of witnesses that are left, and if we add these witnesses as presented in this motion and the amendment, how many meetings does this add to what we currently have, and when are we going to finalize this study?
I'll answer that before I hear Mr. Cooper. So there are 13 witnesses remaining. 2 of them are ministers, which really brings us down to 11. We have any ability to invite. 2 have already been invited and scheduled for after the recess, which leaves us with 9, most of which are former board members, of which I've been bundling in groups of 2 or 3. So I would say what I would call a handful of meetings remain to get through the current witnesses, and then there are 2 from the 4 being proposed today, looking at both the amendment and the sub-amendment. Mr. Cooper.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and let me say that when it comes to the number of meetings that are required, dealing with $400 million that improperly went out the door in terms of non-compliance with the contribution agreements, in terms of multiple conflicts, I say we ought to have as many meetings as it takes to get to the bottom of what happened at SDTC. And I know that the Liberals opposite would love nothing more than
Point of order, Chair. I don't think that that the member opposite should be making any insinuations about what we do and do not care about. We have been just as active participants in these meetings and continue to be. I would like to just have a little bit more collaboration in how we're going to proceed forward, and I don't think that my questions have been unreasonable in any way.
Thank you, Ms. Khalid. Your point is taken. Mr. Cooper, you have the floor again.
Mr. Chair, we've seen time and again the Liberals run interference, interject with points of order that are not legitimate points of order, that are points of debate, including when Navdeep Bains, former Liberal Minister Bains, came before this committee. Time and time again, Ms. Khalid and Mr. Drouin intervened, obstructed, tried to block members of the opposition from posing questions about what Mr. Bains, former Liberal Minister Bains, knew and when he knew it, or what he didn't know or chose to ignore, because the Auditor General's report about what happened at SDTC was damning about what happened under former Liberal Minister Bains's watch. And we saw the outrageous display on his part when, with the assistance of Ms. Khalid and Mr. Drouin, when he refused to answer the most basic of questions the first time that he appeared before this committee. Another point of debate from Mr. Drouin.
No, I do. I love the sanctimonious from the opposite colleague. Can we just get back to the business of the committee? That'd be helpful, because that's not
very
advancing
much
anything.
within the business of this committee and the very
not really.
motion before
Let's talk
this
about
committee.
how many more meetings do we want, and let's just get back to business, and then you can leave your Facebook clip somewhere else.
Right, why don't we let Mr. Cooper finish up, and then I'll, Mr. Cooper, anything else to say, or? The floor is yours. The floor is yours. I'm not trying to cut you off. I just
once again being interrupted.
Order.
But we saw, with the assistance of Mr. Drouin and Ms. Khalid, them running interference to protect the minister from answering questions. The first time that he appeared before this committee, he did not answer really any questions that were put to him. So blatant and so consistent was his obstruction throughout that hearing that we had a very long debate in which former Liberal Minister Bains came this close to being found in contempt by this committee. And now, in the end, after the Liberals filibustered for hours and hours and hours, taking us till I think 9 or 9:30 to protect former Liberal Minister Bains, we agreed to allow him an opportunity to come back. He came back. He continued, in many instances, not to answer questions. In other instances, he gave testimony that contradicted what this committee had heard from others.
Mr. Cooper.
After he appears before the committee the first time, Global News uncovers new text messages. New text messages from September 6, 2022, from between Anderson and the Gowie Group, in which Anderson, as he's shaking them down for the $500,000, says, asking as West Coast is closing in 7 minutes and Randy is in the Vancouver office. Wow. Oops. Wow. Randy is in Vancouver. Well, the minister, turns out, was in Vancouver on September the 6th. And when the minister came back to committee in September with these fresh text messages, fresh insofar as at the time they had just recently been made public, my colleague, Mr. Barrett, put it to him to say, come on, minister, you're obviously that Randy. And the minister was confronted with the text messages, admitted that, yes, he was in Vancouver on September 6th, and then he provided new information that he had withheld from the committee, and that is that he had texted and spoken with Anderson on September the 6th. Wow. Now, when the minister came in June, he would have had committee believe that he had nothing to do with Anderson.
Exactly.
That upon being elected in 2021, other than having a 50% ownership stake, which is a pretty big deal, that he never spoke to this guy. He had nothing to do with the operations of the company. He was totally oblivious to what was going on. And then he comes back, confronted with text messages, placing him in Vancouver at the same time that Anderson is referring to a Randy in Vancouver. He suddenly says, oh, by the way, I spoke with Anderson. That constituted a material omission on the part of the minister. The minister, for all intents and purposes, misrepresented to this committee his dealings with Anderson by his omission.
Exactly. Wow.
And so it's part of a pattern of not being forthcoming. It's part of a pattern of a minister who is changing his story as new details emerge. So now that we have these additional text messages that evidence that the minister was not forthcoming and may provide further evidence that the minister was involved in fraud, it will be interesting to see how his story changes when he comes, hopefully, before this committee as soon as possible. Exactly. And so we need to hear from this minister. He shouldn't be a minister. Exactly. He should have been fired long ago as a minister. He has no place sitting in the cabinet, given his record of frankly not being forthcoming, being implicated in this shady business that is ridden by allegations of fraud, and not just allegations of fraud. There are, I just emphasize again, $7.8 million in judgments by Alberta courts against his company, the company that he had a 50% interest in, stemming from lawsuits from the time that he was a partner in the business. So, Mr. Chair, it's important that we pass Mr. Barrett's motion and haul Minister Boissonnault back to this committee.
Oh, yeah.
Michelle Rempel Garner is also back. She's the Shadow Minister for Immigration. That's a big one. We watch a lot of Michelle on this channel. Let's take another look.
The health minister agreed to pay $237 million to Baylis Medical for 10,000 ventilators, although the devices were not approved in any jurisdiction. This, of course, is the Baylis Medical of Frank Baylis, former Liberal MP. So why was there a fast track for Mr. Baylis's device, but no fast track for rapid testing that every Canadian needs right now? Why is a former Liberal MP with a technology that has no track record of being approved anywhere in the world getting a special deal?
We should all have had enough with this cabinet and this government's failed approach to economic growth while our country stares down the barrel of a looming recession. And it's this government's problem. They have failed to repatriate manufacturing. They have failed to inspire investment in our country. And they are making it harder for women in my community to put loaves of bread in their cart. And I've had enough. And people in this place have had enough, Mr. Speaker. And people across this country have had enough. So I challenge every Liberal backbencher here today, tomorrow morning is their caucus meeting, to stand up and say what that one person said off the record to a reporter. Enough with the woke shit. Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I take that back. I apologize for my unparliamentary language immediately. I'm very sorry. Enough with the woke stuff. And get on with the plan. And it's right to be passionate with this because we have to do better things to protect Canadians from inflation.
This list is going to wind up being more than 10. Kyle Cpac, Shadow Minister of Labour. He's got a sharp tongue too, man. These Conservatives are really wise. Check him out.
The honourable member from Dufferin-Caledon.
A minister making $300,000 a year, being driven around in a limo, says I'm making a political stunt when I talk about a retired senior who can't pay the carbon tax. This behavior by them is disgusting, and not all Liberals have to behave that way, because on Monday, a common sense Conservative motion to axe the tax will take place. They don't have to behave like a limousine Liberal minister. They can stand up for their constituents. They can vote to take the tax off so people like Siggy can keep the heat on.
Oh, yeah.
All right, gang, now we're going to check out Andrew Scheer. He's one of our favorites to watch on here. He has been House Speaker, leader of the Conservatives, interim leader right now. He's a funny guy. He looks like Chucky from the horror movies, right? But let's check out Andrew Scheer. He's very entertaining, guys. Very funny.
Shocking news about how Mark Carney lied during the campaign about Canadian reciprocal tariffs. Bloomberg News.
Let's watch that video in like full screen.
Did you hear about the shocking news about how Mark Carney lied during the campaign about Canadian reciprocal tariffs? Bloomberg News reporting that quietly, secretively, Mark Carney dropped the countervailing tariffs on the United States in the middle of the election. And he didn't tell anybody about it.
Elbows up didn't do anything, did it?
Let me explain. The timeline of events is really important here because it shows that Mark Carney cannot be trusted. On April 17th, at the leaders' debate, Mark Carney's closing comments were this.
We're all going to stand up against Donald Trump. I'm ready. I've managed crises over the years. I've built strong economies. We will fight back with counter tariffs. We will protect our workers and those businesses, and we will build the strongest economy.
But just one day before that, he had met with his cabinet and canceled the tariffs on the US, those retaliatory tariffs that came into effect after Liberation Day. This is an internal document that was published in the Canadian Gazette on May 7th. It shows that Mark Carney and his cabinet met to cancel the retaliatory tariffs. Those elbows up tariffs on the US, all was a lie. He had the gall to look Canadians in the eye during the leaders' debate in an election and say something he knew was not true.
We are facing the biggest crisis of our lifetimes. We're all going to stand up against Donald Trump.
Mark Carney said he was fighting back with reciprocal tariffs, and he attacked anyone who questioned his plan. Turns out, he wasn't fighting back at all. Mark Carney lied to Canadians about what he himself said was the most important issue of the election campaign. This is such a big deal. This matters to Canadians. He told people, as people were making up their minds as to who they should vote for, that he had the plan, that he was the man who could deal with Donald Trump, and that he had these reciprocal tariffs, and that was a big part of it. And then he hid from you the fact that that was all for show. What's so outrageous is that Mark Carney had the tariff suspensions come into effect on May 7th, after his meeting with Donald Trump, which took place on May 6th.
It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take full credit. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take full credit.
Ever wonder why these two are feeling so good, laughing and joking? Ever wonder why Mark Carney turned to the camera and winked when Donald Trump said he probably helped Carney get elected? Is it because Mark Carney told him privately that, guess what, tomorrow, all those retaliatory tariffs are coming off? What did he get in return? Nothing.
He wasn't given much of a chance, and he ran a really great campaign. He did a really great debate. I think that debate was very helpful. I was going to raise my hand. I don't know if that's good or bad. I shouldn't say that. That might hurt you.
People's lives were affected by this. Prices went up. Businesses made decisions, believing that these tariffs were going to be in place, and they weren't. And he hid that from the Canadian people during an election. I mean, Liberals have lied before. Liberals have covered things up before. But this is next level stuff here. Mark Carney has taken Liberal lies and hypocrisy to a whole new level. Our relationship with the United States, the most important trading relationship our country has, and Mark Carney lied about it. Conservatives are going to hold Mark Carney to account. Parliament resumes in about a week. Mark Carney might not be used to being held to account in his other jobs, but he's about to walk into the House of Commons, and that's where Conservatives will be ready to fight for you, the Canadian people who have to live with the consequences of Liberal lies and mismanagement.
Oh, Randy. Where's Randy, guys? Look up. Is he up there? You up there blowing a squirrel, Randy? Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
that squirrel identifies as a chipmunk. Good problem to have. There are too many Tory MPs that are worth mentioning on this list of top 10. Like, there are so many other great MPs. Like, this is just the first go. The ones I'm the most excited to see, like, there's others that aren't on this list. Like, I love Kelly Block, Jamil Devani. There's a bunch. James Bazan. Like, anyways, we'll see you on Monday. Question period's coming. Thank you for watching this video. Canadian Looney. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Catch you next week.